Hello, this is the Think Big for Africa podcast. My name is Ekene, your host. Today, I have a lovely young lady from South Africa. She is a teacher. Yeah, that's what she likes to do. She likes to teach young people, and she likes to teach about climate change. And that's why she's here. Her name is Anga Mbeyiya. Anga, I hope I got your name right.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome. I'm excited to be here. And I actually want to say I'm more of an educator than a teacher because it's not my full-time job.
Okay.
So I go in and out and I educate, but I'm not a full-time teacher. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. But you like to educate and
educate.
Good. Now I need to make this clear. You are not a climate change expert. Okay. Good. I'm not too, but we like to talk about it, especially after the COP26.
100%. 100%. We are very how can I say it? We care for our world. That's what I say. We environmental stewardship. We care for our country and our continent more than anything.
Very good. So, Anga, just tell my audience a little bit about you and what you do.
Okay, cool. So, hello everyone. I'm so happy to be here, as I just said. But basically, my name is Anga Mbeyiya, and I'm from Gqeberha, South Africa. I live in the coast of South Africa. And I am a researcher, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a climate activist, I am an educator, I make content for children, I am into advertising, branding, and I'm youthful, I'm passionate and youthful.
Yeah.
And I'm currently working for a lovely organization called Sustainable Seas Trust in South Africa. And my role there is the African Youth Waste Coordinator. And what I'm currently doing now is working with youth across Africa in informing them about climate change, informing them about plastic pollution, and making the bridge between soft skills and education system to make it more practical and accessible to African youth. So that's what I'm currently doing. And I'm basically bridging the gap between our teachers and the governments and this extra resources that we get from scientists and making it digestible for the youth to understand, if that makes sense.
Wow. Yeah. Very good. See, I remember when I was in Africa, even though I say I've been a science buff all my life, I never really had a lot of information about climate change. You know, way back then, there was next to nothing, about climate change. Now, tell me, in the current African climate, do you guys hear a lot in the news about climate change? What does the Africa media push? What does the media give out?
It is very unfortunate because it's not the main topic. There's so many things that Africans are dealing with, which are just our basic needs of not having water, not having electricity, not having jobs. And I feel like that's what is the main topics in Africa currently. And then climate change will be touched on there and there, depending when people see weather changes, where there's extreme weather changes or where there's droughts, then it becomes a conversation. Like now it's a conversation because of COP26.
Yes.
And definitely it's a conversation within our news platforms. But I wouldn't say it's a very recurring thing because, as you know, Africa is dealing with the most very basic needs, essentials that we lack.
Yeah.
So this is just the tip of the iceberg in Africa currently.
Okay. So even within the youth, the conversation about climate change, how much of do you hear?
Even with the youth, I would say it's more people that are like-minded that are talking about it. So it's your scientists and environmental scientists that are talking about climate change, people that are aware and being educated about it. I would say those are the ones who are talking about it. But I wouldn't say just your Tom and Sipo, who's just not really aware of it. They're not really talking about it unless, like I would even say like people like Greta that have made it popular now. She's getting a lot of airplay. So the conversation is starting because they are ambassadors of climate change. So people are coming to terms about, okay, this situation that's happening, and they're young people talking about it. But I wouldn't say it's everyone's tip of their tongue.
So if change on the rank 1 to 10, what would you rank it?
I'll give it a 4, I would say.
A 4 is good.
40%. Not a pass yet. It's not a pass, but
a 4 is still okay. Based on what, I mean, in my time, I would give it less than 1.
I hear
you. That's about 20 years ago. So if you guys, if you think a 4, okay, that means we have started talking about it.
Definitely.
So people like you educating the kids, okay, that means, see, because if we want our public to learn about climate change, the best way is to get it into the curriculum at a young
100%.
age.
100%.
Okay, so if you are doing it, I don't know how many of you are doing it. So how many of you in your local are doing it?
I would say, especially in South Africa, the conversation is very big, where a lot of coastal areas, like we have a lot of other companies that are collaborating with our organizations that are currently doing it. I think more than even our government is talking about it, and they're trying to support these small organizations that are wanting to fight against plastic pollution, who are trying to fight against climate change. So there are conversations, but I would say it's like there's these small organizations across the country. We still we want access to funding. We want to reach bigger audiences. We want to spread this knowledge, not just for the coastal areas, because what we've realized with climate change and plastic pollution, it's not starting on the coast, it starts inland. That's where all this rubbish and problems are coming in, and then it filters into our rivers and into our oceans. So we want everyone involved, not just our coastal areas, but also inland communities as well.
For you guys who are at the coast, yes, you are fighting plastic pollution, but the one of the biggest things coming along is rising sea levels. I mean, my hometown Lagos is on the coast and is below sea level. See, I see the biggest area of development in Lagos at the coast. And I look at them and I ask myself, what is going to happen in 20 years in this place? Because right now, apart from the potential rising sea level, we do not even have gutters to funnel the waters to the coast, to the sea. And each time it rains, the whole place is flooded. So I don't know how we in Africa will deal with this if our people are not educated on this.
Mm.
What's your take?
Definitely what we're trying to do, especially with the organization I work for, SST, is that we try collaborate with our governments. We speak to government officials, to inform them, because a lot of what we've realized that a lot of people do not have this information. It's the scientists that have this information, and what we try to do is to bridge the gap between the governments, between municipalities, and then going into our people, the communities.
Yeah.
And it needs to be understandable from grassroots levels. We need to find out, like what you're saying in Lagos, we need to find out from the community there, what are the problems? Where do they see it happening? And they need to be part of the table of discussion, because they are the ones that are living in these conditions. So what we usually do is we speak a lot to the community. We want to hear their input. We want to hear when is it bad in terms of season, because it also depends on wind and time of the year when they see lots of changes. We want to find out from them, and we want to use that information to be put into policies, where the government can use to implement better changes and structures for these communities. So we're trying to bridge the gap between all the parties involved, and we're trying to be this umbrella of an organization where we have our scientists, we have our economics development team, we have our educators, and we have our youth coming together to create solid structures and policies to make our surrounding areas a better place to live in, not just for us, but our future generation.
Very good.
Definitely.
Very good. So we both know that the COP26 summit just ended a few days ago. No, just yesterday or so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So what is your takeaway? What's your takeaway for Africa? Because I see, I've heard so many arguments. One I was listening to yesterday was about the wording of the agreement about coal. You see, India and China made them change the wording. So what's your take for Africa?
Definitely, when it comes to coal, it's such a heavy topic, very sensitive topic as well, because Africa has been leading with the coal industry. We get most of our energy from coal.
Yeah.
So when you hear people in COP26 talking about ending coal, it's not going to make a lot of communities happy in South Africa.
Okay.
Because they get scared of losing jobs. Where's the suggestion coming from? So there's a lot of mixed emotions,
Yeah.
And obviously you have our scientists that are happy, that we're going to be getting more sustainable and green, innovative ideas to get energy. But how do we let our communities know about why this change is happening? How do we break it down to them? And I think that's going to be very important as the next steps going forward, is that we need to be very mindful that we don't want to tell them that they're losing jobs. We don't want to say these communities that have been providing coal, where these men are going there, working hard and providing coal, will lose all their jobs. We need to be very sensitive, definitely in Africa, about what are the next steps, and have everyone involved in bringing them into these green solutions.
Yeah.
And I just don't want people feeling left out, because that's when the problem starts. I've heard a lot of our political leaders talking about this, and some being very against it, and saying that Europeans come with all these ideas and they don't want to be part of that. Then you also have our political leaders that are very keen on these ideas, who have signed agreements that they support the coal ratification and letting it go. So it's very, for me, I'm just, how can I explain it? I think it's a very sensitive topic, and I think we need to just be very mindful of how our next steps will be within the community, understand why this is happening, because it's always the why and who's benefiting. Who's benefiting and why now,
Yes. I say this all the time. And this is one thing that I'm sad about. yes, we are late to the game of development in Africa. But at the same time, I see a benefit, okay, that, okay, we're late to the game. So we have so many countries to look at, and to look at what policies they have implemented, to look at which policies has worked for them and see which policies didn't work for them. You see, but one thing is that makes me sad is that I don't see us doing the analysis. What I see most of us do in Africa is just adapt one without doing the analysis about why did this work, why didn't it work. You see, so we're not gaining anything from being late to the game. Now, when it comes to climate change, yes, Africa has contributed very, very little to the climate change itself. But unfortunately, we will suffer the most of the effect, mainly because we have not built our industries. We do not have the money to build the solutions that most of the Western countries or the developed world are going to implement now. And we are still struggling even to educate our people. But like I said, being late to the game gives us a little advantage that what we will implement will be the best solutions available. If only we actually learn about them, if only we get involved from the bottom up, not just to adapt the ones that the West or China has implemented. See, I don't know what you think about it. I rant a lot when it comes to this, but this is something that's so important to me.
100%. I totally agree. Because even just thinking about how Africans are the most resourceful people, you know, we very resourceful. We make use of what we have, and we savor it. You know, we're not excessive. We don't waste. We reuse. We reduce. We pass on to our siblings. We don't have that mentality of buy, and just throw away. So we've always had that resourceful thinking. It's just in our genes. Across Africa, the whole Africa, I think that's how we are. You know, and I feel like it's just very unfortunate that that people come here and will tell us how to do things when we've already been doing it. You know, there's a lot of things that we've already been doing. Maybe it's just not as public, but there are a lot of people in a lot of communities that have been resourceful, that have not been wasting, that have making use of solar panels already, you know, in Africa, you know, making use of how to save electricity and save water, you know, having good innovative farming skills. There are a lot of people doing that. It's just that we don't have the platform to promote what we're doing compared to our westernized countries. So I think more than anything, let's collaborate. We don't need to, let's collaborate our thinking and like merge our thinkings together than opposing ideas, because I think there's a lot of potential in Africa. where they can also teach the West and the West could also teach us.
Yeah.
So I think more than anything, we need a more collaborative mind and for all the stakeholders to be part of the discussions.
Yeah.
Going forward, I think.
Okay. So tell me, what advice you give to young Africans who are concerned about climate change?
My advice is that firstly, Africa is the youngest continent in the world. You know that.
Hold on. Sorry. We're not the youngest continent. We have the youngest population. We have the youngest population. Yes. Because see, Africa is the home of humanity. Okay, so yeah, okay, so let's correct that. We have the youngest population. Okay, yeah.
And for me, that just speaks of hope. You know that there are young people, and young people are passionate. Young people are eager. They want to see better. You know, and what I've realized in all the talks and the schools I go to, I see that they're eager. They want to make it better. So when I think of climate change and all these things are currently happening, I think of also job opportunities that were never there.
Exactly.
There's industries that are being created that were never there before. And more than anything, we just need to introduce our African youth to these industries and careers, and that they're aware of it, you know, and not just think being a doctor and accountant, not to say there's the wrong industries, but just to introduce them to environmental affairs, to introduce them to sustainability, to introduce them to innovation and green economies and blue economies, and see how they can fit in those industries. So when I speak to the youth, I'm very hopeful. I am very practical, and we all offer a lot of resources and help more than anything. So I don't see this as a doomsday. I see it more as an opportunity for Africans to be more involved in making this continent a better place.
Very good. Very good. See, I agree with everything you said, but we'll do a lot better, a lot better, if only we adopt science. You see,
and technology.
Well, see, we are adopting technology more than the basic science, because we are adopting the technology that one country or the other in the West have already found. Okay, but see, if we are looking to be in the forefront of development, it's important for us to get into basic science, because that's where all the technologies come from. See, because you can be in technology without knowing physics. Okay,
true.
But you cannot be in the forefront of anything in the world today without being in the forefront of basic science. And that's the trouble we actually have. See, I don't know I don't know the stats of people in Africa who are actually studying basic science. You know, I don't know. I mean, if I ask you, did you study science? No. Okay, but you know a lot about climate change. You see, if you and other young Africans if you guys study big science, it will be even easier for you to understand the dynamics of all those things and how they're organized, you know, and then you have the opportunity to innovate, you know, and bring out some, you know, I don't really know if you understand what I'm saying.
I know, I hear you. I hear you. I definitely feel there's potential for new industries and careers in South Africa. We just need it to be accessible. Accessible not just to the elite Africans, but to all Africans, because not just elite Africans. There's so much potential. Like people in rural areas, in our middle class, there are smart kids there. They just don't have access.
Yes.
So I think more than anything, it's trouble to access. And that's why they don't tap into these industries and careers.
Yeah.
It's because they don't know any better. Okay. So I just wish there was more platforms like this just to engage youth from a young age to think about science. I know that even now, currently, I even saw a program where they're teaching kids in the townships how to code at 10. And I'm like, wow, this is beautiful seeing 10-year-olds being introduced to the concept of coding. So I think those things are very important, very, very important.
Yeah. So what, you have talked about plastic pollutants across Africa. There are also block waterways and drainages blocked by so many plastic rubbish. What can we as individuals do to reduce this or even reverse it?
I hate blaming the individuals because I honestly think it's the bigger companies. This is my personal opinion.
Okay.
I really feel like the big companies should be taking responsibility because we are buying these products at the shop because they're available to us.
Yes.
And they're cheaper. Plastic is cheaper. And that's why we tend to buy plastic. But if I would, my political answer, if we're going to be and political correct answer, I would say that individuals need to make a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
And a lifestyle change is basically just being very more aware of what you're buying and the impact towards it. So we need to be very careful how we sort our plastics and having different bins to sort certain things, how to reuse things. But as I said, that's very hard in Africa when you don't have access to municipalities that will come and sort your rubbish.
Yes.
When you don't have access to a different alternative because it's maybe more expensive.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that the companies can be banned. We need bans on these big companies and corporations that are making these water bottles and, all the time. They are the one, what we pick up the most, I don't even lie to you, is cigarette butts. I don't know if you know, cigarette butts is actually, the end is actually out of plastic. That thing never decomposes.
Yeah.
We're picking a lot of that up. And I won't even blame the communities and people because growing up in movies, you always see people smoking.
And drop it.
And I always thought growing up as a child, that was cotton wool. I always thought it would decompose and, but now that I've been introduced to it, I've been told that's plastic. It doesn't decompose.
Yeah.
And I don't think people like an ordinary person would know that because TV has influenced them to throw it on the floor and move. So I wish that companies could take more responsibility of like the advertising companies, movies. They should be giving proper information because that's where we're learning all these bad traits.
Yeah.
And I really think there should be proper bans. Government should ban a lot of these big companies and make more use of reusable materials.
Okay. Well, I hear you. Okay. But as a coach, I know that as individuals, we can actually have a big impact. Okay. Now, I agree that companies need to do better a lot. Okay. And our government need to do a lot better. Okay. Because like we know, unless the government pass laws, that bans the companies from producing the kind of things they produce with the kind of material they use, the companies will never stop. Okay? Because they want to use the cheapest materials to gain the highest level of profits. So the government needs to be involved. They need to be at the top of the ladder, okay? And the companies. But then we can't, right now, we can't control the government. We can't control the companies. But you and me, we can control who? Us. Also. Yes. Okay. So in as much as I agree with you that the companies and the government need to do a lot better. Okay. But we as people, we can control ourselves. Okay. We can decide what to use. Yes, I know it's difficult in Africa, but even after we use it, how we dispose it, instead of you going out and drop your cigarette butt on the floor, you can put it in a bin. Instead of just dropping your plastic container, which you just finish using the product in it, just dropping it, you can put it in a bin. And you and all young Africans, see, we need to start coming up with solutions where we actually come up with solutions to use the discarded materials that are everywhere. You see, I saw a young lady in Kenya who is making tiles. You know, in fact, I'm hoping I will bring her on this program because I was so fascinated with what she's doing. You know, so we have, yes, we are lacking in so many areas, but as human beings, as individuals, we have the opportunity to innovate and find solutions that will be helpful to our community and to ourselves, you know. So yeah, that's my take, you know. So for 3 decades, Africa has been importing several items from Europe: cars, electronics. Now our continent is filled with garbage. Okay, yeah, I know in South Africa, you guys have a lot of new cars. You know, you have always had the companies, the car manufacturers being in South Africa, and they make cars there. But in the rest of sub-Saharan Africa, they will normally import used cars from Europe, used electronics. Our fridges in Nigeria mostly are used from Europe, and then we bring those things in, and then in a short space of time, they stop working, and we just dump them somewhere. Now our landfills are filled with all these things we disposed. So are we doing a lot better with the items we import? And how, in terms of how we dispose them? Do you know anything about the...
It's crazy. There's so much. There's a guy from Kenya that I know. His name is Kevin Mtai. He's amazing. Climate activist in Kenya. He's currently actually in COP26. He's one of the key speakers of Africa.
Oh, very good.
And he's amazing. Definitely an amazing young man. And he had a T-shirt on saying Africa is not a dump site.
Yeah.
And that was, you know, and he's very clear on Africa not being a dump site, Africa not being taken advantage of. and that's what happens with our governments. Some of our government officials are not really there to protect our countries. I definitely feel like that, and it's more money driven, and we end up being taken advantage of and becoming a dump site. So I know even Rwanda is an amazing country. Currently, the president there, I'm not too sure of his name, but I've been seeing the rules and regulations that he's been putting there currently, having people doing cleanups.
His name actually is Paul Kagame.
Thank you so much. He is my favorite president in Africa currently.
me too.
Like what he's doing in Rwanda and in that short space of time it just proves to you that if someone is assertive and sure of themselves, they will be changed. And I think we need more politicians that are
more focused people like him. Yes,
because we have the ideas, but we lack implementation in Africa. We're good talkers, we're good on paper, especially South Africa, we're very good on paper. But I feel like there's so much more potential to implement better standards of living, not just for the elite South Africans, but for all South Africans. I'm not a big fan of being a dumping site. I know they're even dumping clothes in different places. Clothes are being dumped here. I know cars are being dumped here. And as you said, these big fridges and TVs, a lot of stuff is being
all those things, and we have them everywhere. Now, again, like I said, that is where we need young people to understand those things. Because yes, even the TVs that has been dumped, I'm sure we have millions of them. Okay, there are still items in those things that we can remove and resell.
100%. See, it makes me think of China, actually. Sorry to cut you. It makes me think of China. There's this documentary I watched about plastics in China, and America was dumping all their plastics back to China. And China took all that plastic and sent it back to America as finished goods. And then China blocked they said, actually, no more plastic. As you know, China make all these little toys, and there's China malls in every country, in every continent. There's a China mall. And it's all these plastic materials that China got from America and these European, and they resold it back to them.
So in Africa, we haven't. See, one thing is that we don't have a coordinated solution, because our countries are small countries, and the governments are not coordinated. They don't do anything together. That's one thing. But more importantly, we don't have the knowledge. We lack the knowledge. Yes.
I feel like all knowledgeable people, but they're not given the space to be in those tables and meetings. They still, we have this very Africans are very like, I'm older than you, I know better than you. I'm a man, and this is a man's table. And we need to still break down those connotations that we have and have youthful, impactful people being in those board meetings, and not just having our dads and grandpas.
I agree with you. Okay, I agree with you, and I will say this. Many of us, of my generation, okay, not yours. See, I'm saying this because I don't want people of your own generation to do what people of my generation did. See, I talked to my father a lot. In fact, I just called him about 30 minutes before we went live. See, I love the man, okay? But I tell him this. I made a mistake by listening to everything he says and doing them. Okay? See, there are things that if I had done what I thought was right for me, I will be in a better place. Okay. So what I would say to you is this. Yes, listen to your elders, okay, but don't do everything your elders say, because in as much as they're your elders, they don't know it all. They don't know it all. Okay. In fact, there are so many things the older generation do not know that you know.
100%.
Okay. There are so many things. In terms of climate change, do your elders know anything about it? No. So, say it's time for us to be more assertive at a young age. But then, if you want to be assertive, you need to have the information. Okay, because it's not used to be assertive when you don't have the information. All right. So what I encourage young people to do is to read. Talk to other people. Expand your ideas. You know, listen. Read, listen, read, listen. In fact, read more, listen more than talk. Okay, so don't listen to everything. Don't do everything your elders say. Listen to everything they say, okay, but don't do everything they say, because we don't know everything. Okay, my elders didn't know everything. Me, I don't know everything. Okay, so
and network.
What?
Networking is, I'm saying networking is very key as well, in just meeting like-minded people from different countries and areas.
Yeah.
Because you also don't want to duplicate work. You know, all this information is there. Let's collaborate, let's not duplicate.
Exactly.
Let's meet each other halfway and share our platforms. Like, this is amazing, you know, share our platforms. Let's see how we can collaborate to make Africa a better place.
Yeah. So, see, like we have just talked about, Africa has been a dumping site, okay, for all the rubbish that Europe didn't want anymore. All their used cars, their used TVs, their used fridges, and I can talk about Nigeria. Now we are a dumping site of very cheap products from China. You know, all this. You buy a phone, you use it for maybe 6 months, 1 year, is bad. You dump it, you buy another one. You dump it, you buy another one. Okay. So we buy all these products, use them for a short time, and we'll buy another one. And we dump all these things everywhere. Okay, we pollute our environment. So one of the main things we can do as people is to start finding innovative ways to use items in these products: cars, TV, fridges, phones. You see, we have enough material to build multiple billion-dollar industries from the rubbish that we got from Europe and China. So I'm asking you, young people in Africa, to find the solutions. Start using this as resources to create jobs? I don't know. So it's left for you girls. It's left for you guys,
100%. I think we should use this as a stepping stone.
Yes.
Just to reach new heights. And also it's just, definitely there's a lot of potential for Africans. I just think they need to just tap into the more entrepreneurial side of thinking and not thinking of waiting for a job, but actually taking initiative and being assertive, as you said.
Yeah.
And I think we need to tap out from slave mentality and waiting on government, and we need to save ourselves.
Yeah.
We need to really save ourselves from our current situations.
Now, see, I don't know if you are in this space to be able to talk about this, but let's see.
Why am I nervous?
No, don't be nervous. Come on. See, well, the Africa is yours. Okay, the youths, you guys own this continent. You guys have 70% of the population. Okay, so the continent is yours. Okay, so you should be able to chime in on this topic. So I'm talking about navigating the politics of climate change. Okay. See, like we said earlier, Africa will suffer the impact of climate change brought on by the development of Europe, North America, China now, and some other developed countries in Asia. Okay. But then, like we mentioned about coal, okay? Now, the world is trying to get away from coal. The world is trying to get away from other fossil fuel sources, okay? Yet, Africa needs all this to develop our own land. We have a lot of those resources, okay? But for the last 70 years, we have been selling them to Europe and China. We haven't used it for our own development. So the world wants us to leave them in the ground and use other sources of energy. Now, because we are not into science, okay, as a continent, we haven't developed our own innovation in those other areas. We use the ones that the West develop. Okay, that's why I'm saying we need to get into science. Okay, now, my question is this: what do you think we need to do to navigate this political arena, to help us develop Africa using these resources we have, at least for the next 20 years, at least?
Good question.
Yeah.
I think a shift in thinking here. We need a proper shift in thinking. And I'm really, as we said, what's happening in Rwanda, that's a shift in thinking. We need more people like that who have practical ways of implementing innovation. And innovation also innovation doesn't have to be something new. It can be something that's just re-incited in the communities that they were doing, but they had forgotten. You know what I mean? And for me, it's like, I hate canceling. I hate that word canceling. I don't believe.
Me too.
I believe in let's speak about ways to better that situation. How can we improve it? What do we need help with? What was the problem? and how can we improve it? I think we need to go back to our roots as well and just find out what was happening before. How can we improve it? Because Africa is a very resourceful, rich country.
Yes, we
and
are.
I'm a very rich country, and I don't believe that we should be canceling everything in one go. But let's see how we can collaborate innovation, green economy, and what we're currently using, and have that balance each other out. Because when you cancel something, you are also canceling a lot of, as I said, families and communities and jobs, where people now have to maybe go to school to learn these new innovative things, which can be a good thing to get new skills, but let them still have what they have. And this should be an addition, not a cancellation, but let's add on to what we already know and see how we can better it. That would be my suggestion, is that.
Okay.
Yeah.
See,
yeah.
You are right. We don't need to cancel anything, but for the sake of ourselves and the planet, see, because one thing is this, even as we talk about climate change, see, most people don't understand that we are actually talking about our own survival, okay? Because the truth of the matter is this: if we leave climate change to go rampant, the only people who will suffer is us. See, the planet is always okay because
it adapts. The content adapts. It's going to be us that's going to be.
The planet is okay. Okay. It will only, a climate change will only kill us. Okay. And then the planet is okay. It will take maybe millions of years to come up with a new species. So we are talking about climate change. We're talking about our own survival. All right. So for me, the bottom line is this: young Africans need to start, like you said, collaborate, learn, because there are so many things we can do as people, as a community, as individuals, to come up with new solutions for energy, one, and to reuse all these materials that are in dumping sites. Okay. So it's left for you guys to come up with these solutions, right? So let's go somewhere else. See, I want to talk a little bit about you. You see, your LinkedIn page says you are an only blue and a blue economy innovator. Yeah. Tell me about that. What does that mean?
Okay. I was very blessed with the opportunity to study my master. I did a master's course in Sweden, in Gothenburg University. And when I went there, I was introduced to seaweed and the potential of seaweed, and basically how great seaweed is. So seaweed is basically, it's in the ocean. And Ole Blue is a startup of mine that I founded last year. And I want to cultivate seaweed in South Africa. It's 17 hours. And process it. So the aim of the Ole Blue is to cultivate and process seaweed. Okay. And I want to become, I really think, this is my wish. When people think of the ocean, they must think of Anga in the same line. You know, ocean, and Anga's the go-to person of the ocean in Africa. Because what we try to do with Ole Blue is that I really want to create this book IP of how to cultivate seaweed and the ins and outs and the problems I've seen and the positives that I've seen in the industry, and give this book to other potential farmers across the coast of Africa. Okay. Because seaweed is so good just for the ecosystem of the ocean. It brings more biodiversity. It helps our coral reefs. It it's just this amazing source of nutrition as well. It's very nutritious. Animal feed, it does nutraceuticals, it does supplements, it's hair, food. It's just this amazing source of plant. And I really want more Africans tapping into this product and farming it, cultivating. You can even make plastic out of seaweed. You know, I've been seeing people making, so Asia has been very big on seaweed, you know, and it's been the capital of seaweed. But I really think Africa has the largest coastline in the world. Obviously, our continent are it's just ocean. So we need to be tapping into this. And I really want Ole Blue to be this umbrella of knowledge to help other farmers like myself who want to tap into this industry. And I want to also bring them into the market. So when they start farming, they will have access to the market. I can connect them to people that will buy their products. And that is the aim with Ole Blue. I entered a competition last year, which was part of the UN. It was called Leash, and I made it to the top 5 as well. I've been entering a lot of competitions. I've been doing relatively well. It's still a lot in the research and development stages, but the aim of it is to have my own space to farm. And I want to have this book where I can share it to the rest of Africa to farm as well. And that's the aim of my company at the moment.
That's good. Yeah. That's good. See, so you are actually taking advantage of your knowledge about climate change and other 100%. Things. Very good. Very good. Interesting.
That's what I think. Like this, when I think of climate change, you think of job creation.
Yes.
And I know with seaweed, it's very labor intensive, and this will not be seasonal work. It will be year work. And quality jobs, you know. And also I can imagine like the people that we'll be working with, they will tell their communities at home, this is what I'm doing. I'm farming seaweed. Imagine that knowledge just being passed on into those communities and people just being aware and using the product, because it has so many beneficial nutritional value. And it would be amazing to see more Africans eating seaweed, you know. Look at the Chinese, how well they look, so slim, very good skin. Imagine Africans looking like that, you know what I mean? You know, that's the aim, is just to connect with people that know more than me. As I said, I'm not an expert, but how we can collaborate to make this idea possible.
Yeah.
And I won't lie, there are a lot of people that have been helping me along this journey, especially in Europe. And also I'm also connected to a lot of South Africans and Africans, and in India. Like I was part of a conference like 2 months ago, and India is doing amazing stuff with seaweed as well, you know. And I love working with like BRICS countries, these up and coming countries like us that are still developing, because they are very innovative as well. So more than anything, I network with a lot of people. I introduce them. I tell them who I am, and we share knowledge. I tell them,
very good. Very good.
We share knowledge, and we're taking it from there. And I'm hoping in the next few years, I will have my own setup of a farm, and I'll be making products in Africa for the rest of Africa and the world to consume.
Very good. Very good. I love to hear this, right? I love to hear this. So I'll say, young African, what is your vision for Africa in the next 20, 30 years? See, like I said earlier, it's your world.
Yes, yeah. I'll be 40 by then, 46 in 20 years' time. And at the time, so I see my company now just as a baby. It's a baby now, and it's still here. I'm still, you know, caring a lot for it. It's still there. Yeah, you can see it's still there. And as you know, as a child grows, it takes time, you know. And at 20 years' time, I want my company standing for itself, being sustainable, without me being there. It needs to be able to hire a lot of Africans. I want to be impactful more than anything. I really want to be the go-to person. You know, I really want, if someone needs help, I want to start this. You speak to me, I connect you to other people. You look up the company. We provide you with resources that are will help your community, you know. I'm very passionate about education. So I even have an NPO that I've opened up, a nonprofit organization. So when I start making all those millions and $1 million, I can help other organizations and educate to tap into this industry. You know, I'm very passionate about education, because education is what brought me into this whole thinking diaphragm. It's because I went to Sweden and I heard about it and I was like, I need to do this in South Africa. You know what I mean? So I want to give more youth an opportunity to education. And I really hope with the money I will be making, the profits I'll be making, I want to give back to the community. I want to give back to people who look like me, who speak like me, and give them a chance to reach higher heights than I have, you know. And that's the end goal, is that in 46 years time, in 20 to 30 years time, I would have loved to taken a few kids to school. I would have loved to open up organizations that are helping youth to become entrepreneurs, to help their communities. And that's the aim of the company, is to make money to give money. Like it's to make and to give back more than anything. And I really think I'm not, honestly, people that are game changers in the country are not necessarily politicians, but are all the business people. It's the business in those countries that drive policies, that drive change in communities. And I really want to be a very impactful coastal business that will create change across the coastal line of Africa. And that's the aim. So I really want to meet more Africans. I want to speak to them. I want to hear what they're doing. I know I'm speaking to a lot of people in Tanzania and Zanzibar. I want to speak to more people in Ghana and see how we can collaborate and share the piece of the pie, you know, share it, and let's not be selfish and just share more than anything. Yeah.
Wow. Anga, it's been very nice to speak to you today. Guys, I've been speaking to Anga a little bit about climate change and a little bit about her work. Okay. And you hear her, she's very passionate. And we know that in 20, 30 years time, she will be here. Okay. Being impactful and raising Africa to its highest. Anga, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Right.
Beautiful.
Later. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Listen or watch more episodes of Think Big for Africa podcast with new guests every week. Subscribe to ensure that you are notified whenever new episodes are available.